Hi everyone, it's Jerry. Let's have a look at a game that was played at the 2014 Dortmund Tournament. On the white end, Fabiano Caruana, and he's playing against Ruslan Ponomariov. Okay, the finish to this game, memorable to say the least. Really an excellent combination by Caruana in this one. We're beginning here with a Petrov's defense. And to be a bit more exact, we enter with knight c3 the Nimzowitsch attack. Some queenside imbalance with the pawns. And these next few moves for white place an emphasis on queenside development. He castles on that wing and does so without fear of bishop takes a2. The bishop would be trapped. b3, king b2. Queen d7, standard follow-up move now for white. After queenside castles, king b1, bishop f6. So, we're 10 moves in. These next handful of moves for each side, a bit on the slower side. It makes sense. This is a slower position. There's no significant imbalance to speak of. No side has a great lead in development, for instance. We also have this black king who's staying uncommitted for these next couple moves. Black is, in a way, saying, you know what, white? I would like to know a little bit more about your setup before I make my decision to go right or left. Okay, some baby moves incoming. Each side takes this do no harm to my own position approach while still trying to find a way to improve their position, however slight that improvement may be. So we begin with h3. White cuts out a square from a bishop and hints at expansion. Black says, I could play that game too. I'm cutting out a square from your pieces. b3 follows. I should note that as soon as h6 is in, white could already predict pretty confidently where the king is going. If he goes kingside, he's going to be asking for g4, g5. With the pawn on h6, this would be an excellent hook for white. With a fork would land and a G file would be cracked open. All right. b3, white has a flight square for the king. A couple holes are created, but they're not exploitable. a6, there will be no pin on the knight. g4, sure enough in this game it's a same sides castles. White fianchettos. Black continues with g5. Computer isn't thrilled about this move. It prefers king b8. Doesn't want to create these gaps on the queen side. 4 holes are created with g5. All right. Now, before this pawn is on g5, this knight is already itching to move so that the bishop can see. Now with the g5 in, there's an additional reason white would want to move the knight. He moves it right away. He goes to d4. What is this additional reason to move the knight? Well, he's not only out of the bishop's way, but he's out of the pawn's way. This f-pawn, currently not a contributor in the game, is now moments away from biting at g5. Watch how white's f-pawn creates an imbalance in this game. First, we get a knight exchange. White straightens out his pawns and threatens to trap the bishop. Black stops that cold. Here comes the f-pawn. 2 things happening. Threatening to take on g5, winning a pawn. Also f5, yet again. This idea to trap the light square bishop. Black captures on f4. And with that exchange, we now have split pawns on the queen side. The king side. And the h6 pawn is in the crosshairs. Black gives it a push. g5, kicks the bishop back, and from here rook d to e1. With these pawns now fixed in the center, we could look to good and bad bishops. This guy's the bad guy. Very active, bad bishop, but right around the corner now for white, with this rook now on e1, is bishop e5. Trading dark square bishops is what white wants, and in the end, he wants to drop the rook on e5, where it will become a best piece. Okay. We follow up with h4. With h4, white is fixing the h3 pawn. White must stay tethered to its defense. Now, I want to note something here. This move rook d to e1 is preventing black from trying to exchange his f-pawn. This is one of the details you could note about this move. In some cases, black can try to play f6 and challenge white's best pawn. Playing f6 here with the rook on e1 is not good, though. Let's see why. So again, the move played in the game is h4. If black tried to get this exchange in, this is how white could continue. He can take on f6, and then there's this beautiful tactic with the bishop takes c7. Queen takes bishop would be met with rook takes bishop. King takes bishop would be met with queen f4 check, and then queen takes the dark square bishop. Okay. f6 not allowed with the rook on e1. We continue with h4. Bishop e5, the dark square bishop exchange is going to happen. Black has an eye on g5. Some improving moves now for white. The bishop's underdeveloping, so he could go to d3. Bishop to c8. Small improvements more here for white. Bishop takes bishop. Rook takes. Best piece in the game. Still have this point to watch over. 2 attackers, 2 defenders on g5. Rook g7. a4 met with a5. You will go no further. This makes a lot of sense. Pawn on dark. Coordinates well with the light square bishop. You don't really want to see this guy, white's a pawn, get established on a5. It has this cramping effect. It would have this cramping effect on black's queenside. So, it is a5 by black. King a2, basically a waiting move. What are you going to do? Are you going to weaken your position unnecessarily? Black says no. Going to make a passing move. I'm going to keep my pieces right where they're at. Queen goes to d2. Wants to get that pawn. Black says you could take it, but you will not take it with check. King goes back to b8. White doesn't bite. He does not want to basically exchange the a pawn for the g pawn. That's exactly what would happen. If queen takes a, this would fall. Does not want that exchange. So he returns to f4 and black goes to a7. This move here, king a7, is an invitation for a draw. Do we want to go threefold repetition, call it a day? Is this one going to end peacefully? It's not. White goes for more, and he really should go for more. If you stare at the engine evaluation, if this position is between 2 engines, it's going to end as a draw. White really should be the one who continues here, and he does. He doubles rooks on the e-file. Why should white be the side who tries something here? Well, look at the rank of the pieces. 5th rank white rook, 4th rank white queen. Black, on the other hand, every piece is on rank 7 and 8. Okay. This last move is welcoming h-pawn, an h-pawn exchange. Bishop takes pawn, the rook returns, and the bishop goes back, rook takes h. So the rook pawns are exchanged, and a pair of rooks are exchanged. One note here is if black tries to hang on to the material in this position, let's say after rook h1, let's say the bishop doesn't budge. If black tries something like queen d7, not a good idea, because the white queen could go to f6, not only targeting the rook, but supporting rook e7. Not a good idea to put this queen in this restricted state, defending the bishop. Okay. In this game, the bishop simply goes back, h-pawns are gone, pair of rooks are gone, and black continues with b6. Now, on the surface, this b6 move, I must say, looks perfectly natural, looks correct. This is normally the way to coordinate your structure with the bishop. Pawns on dark, bishop on light. In this case, though, it's a bit of a misstep, not a decisive mistake, but wait until you see how Caruana is able to take advantage of this last move, b6. The suggestion here, instead of b6, is c6. What is a difference or two? The main one I see here is that the pawn supports d5. And so the queen is no longer tethered to its defense. She can maybe go elsewhere. Okay. In this game, though, b6 is on board. And there is now this gap, this hole on c6 that acts like a magnet for this queen. Watch how quick she gets there. h6 with tempo. Don't blink. She's already there, and she's now a best piece. Pressure now on d5. Pressure on c7. The queen has two jobs. Okay. The move played in the game, move 36, bishop e6. This is a decisive error. What is considered best, very difficult to play in this way for a human. This is the best continuation, to take on g5 and allow queen takes c7 check, go into a pin and allow this pawn to be picked up. This is what the computer wants, to play this position where you're in a pin and you're also down a pawn. Not easy to play like this for a human, to be sure. Okay. Bishop e6 was played. One thing I wondered about, what if the bishop goes here? What can white play in response to bishop b7? White could put the queen on f6, and after some exchange, this bishop is now not in a good position. It would really like to be on c8 here, where it could cut off the rook from getting to the 7th, but the rook will, in this position here, get to the 7th and either win a pawn or force black in a restricted state. It's going to have to play defense, trying to defend. Okay. No bishop b7. In this game, it's bishop to e6. As a close to this game, I have a few pop quizzes, this one being the first. There's only one winning move in this position. Let's see if you can spot it. Feel free to pause the video. Okay, step 1. Break down this construction. g6. What do you do here? You can't take on g6 with the rook, and you can't take up with the pawn. The bishop would fall. So, black tries rook g7. We take. The bishop recaptures. Pop quiz number 2 of 3. If you get this one, you're going to know what the third question is. The answer to the third question is my guess. Anyhow, once more, if you'd like to spot this best move by Caruana, move 39, feel free to pause the video. Okay, here we go. Rook e7. Beautiful move. What's the story here? Well, Ponomariov was nice enough to let this tactic play out straight to mate. He, of course, knew what was coming by this point. What is the idea with rook to e7? Isn't that just blundering a rook? Well, not quite. Because after the move played in the game, queen takes rook, there is now, you'll notice, no defense on the back rank. There's no piece watching over a8 besides the king. Feel free to pause the video. Okay, here we go. Bishop a6. What do you do? If king takes bishop, well, that is the move played in the game. Queen a8, and it's mate. There's nothing else that you can do here. After bishop to a6, the threat here is queen b7, so it's going to be mate no matter what. So a very nice combination. It's dating all the way back to this point right here, g6, softening up this structure, breaking it down a little bit, and now this rook has access to a couple new squares and can take advantage of that, going straight to the 7th rank. Bishop a6, king takes bishop, queen corner pocket for mate. Beautiful finish to this one, to be sure. Anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comments section below. Hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.